This is the JetBoil MiniMo cooking system. The integrated canister stove with a piezo igniter was designed to be easy to use with a quick boil time. So how does this perform on the trail? Find out. Hi everyone, welcome to the video. Now before I get started, if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and adventure with me in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, where I take you to see waterfalls, scenic vistas, mountains, lakes, and rivers. But in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the JetBoil MiniMo cooking system. Now, I've used this cooking system for a good 5 years now, so I am more than ready to give my full review and offer some insight if this is a cooking system you may want to use on your next backpacking trip. And as with all my reviews, I'm going to be going over the specs and features, my likes and dislikes, price, weight, and then my final thoughts. So let's jump right in and get started. So the JetBoil MiniMo is an all-in-one cooking system with 5 separate parts, which I'll go over individually. But starting with the dimensions, the height of the MiniMo is 5.5 inches and the circumference is 5 inches. So let's start with the pot and the lid. Starting with the pot, the material is made out of hard anodized aluminum, making this very lightweight and very efficient boiling water. The pot has a 1 liter volume capacity, and it can boil a half a liter of water in just over 2 minutes. Now, you wouldn't fill this up with a full liter because then the water will boil over. The pot also has markings inside for a 1/4 liter, a half a liter, and 3/4 of a liter. The outside of the pot has an insulated cozy so you don't burn your hand while you're holding the pot. And it has handles as well, so you can hold as you're pouring out your water or you're holding the pot to eat your food out of. Moving on to the lid, which also serves as the holding spot for your fuel canister as a stabilizer. And I will talk more about this later on. The material of the lid is a thermoplastic elastomer, and it has 2 openings for pouring. One, you just have a regular opening, and then you have an opening used as a strainer. Let's move on to the stove, which comes in this stuff sack. This is a single burner stove with 6,000 BTUs. It has a push button for the igniter, so no lighter required, and it does have a regulator for your flame to control the simmer. Let's talk about the cup of the MiniMo. This is used for 2 purposes. One, you can use this to eat out of, and the other reason is this acts as a measuring cup. This does have markings inside. It lists 100 ml, 200 ml, and 300 milliliters. And then right next to that, it has markings for 4 ounces and 8 ounces. And finally, let's talk about the last piece that comes with the MiniMo, which is that fuel canister stabilizer. Now, I particularly don't use this myself, but it does come with the MiniMo if you want to use it. So these are the 5 parts of the MiniMo, and then I also have my fuel with me. So let's put the MiniMo together. I'll show you how easy it is. Take your stove, screw it into the fuel. You have your pot. And then you have your cover. Simple as that. Now that I went over the specs and features, let's head into my likes and dislikes, starting as always with my likes. My first like of the MiniMo is I just love how quick this boils water. So I'm going to put a half a liter of water in the pot and then we'll fire it up. I got my timer all set and let's see how long it takes to boil the water. And I can see the water starting to boil. There it is. So there you have it. A half a liter of water took about 2 minutes and 20 seconds, which makes the MiniMo very fuel efficient. Moving on to my second like, which is that convenient piezo igniter, which eliminates the need for a lighter. Now, I've used the MiniMo, like I said, for 5 years now. And during that time, I have not had one single issue with the igniter. Now, my third like, staying with the stove, is that simmer control, which gives the MiniMo some versatility in the meals that you are preparing. And lastly, I just love how easy the MiniMo is to use and to put together. I like how you can eat out of the pot or you can use the cup. And what's really neat is you can fit the stove and your fuel canister inside the pot to save you room. So basically you just take the stove, put that together with the fuel canister. We're going to put that in our stuff sack so nothing gets scratched up. And when you put the stove and fuel canister in sideways, it's a perfect fit. Take our lid, our cup, done. Now that I went over my likes, let's head into my dislikes. So my first dislike is the MiniMo doesn't have too much of wind protection. So I would say if there's anything more than a mild wind, then your boiling time will increase. So if there is anything more than a slight wind, what I will do, I will take my MiniMo and I will use it inside the vestibule of my tent, which will help block the winds, and then it should work fine. But just know that it doesn't have like great wind protection. It will block some mild wind. It will work just fine. But anything more than a mild wind and your boiling time will probably increase slightly. Moving on to my second dislike of the MiniMo, and that has to do with the lid, specifically the pouring lip. And this pouring lip does not pour the liquids very well. Kind of gets water a little bit all over the place. So if they can just fix that pouring lip so it flows a little bit more smoothly, that would be huge. And then lastly, just getting a little nitpicky here, is this pull tab to flip off the pot. If this was just a little bit longer, that would really help, just to keep your hands away from steam that would be rushing out. So if this was just a little bit longer, it would make it just a little bit easier to get the lid off, and it would help, like I said, to keep your hands away from any steam that will be rushing out as you open up the lid. Other than that, that is it for my dislikes. Now let's head into the weight. Now, if you use all the parts of the MiniMo, including the cup and the fuel canister stabilizer, this comes out to be 15.9 ounces. But if you choose to not take with you the cup or the fuel canister stabilizer, then the MiniMo will come out to be 13.3 ounces. Not ultra lightweight, but still lightweight. Now, although other stoves are more lightweight, like the MSR Pocket Rocket or the BRS 3000T, these stoves will not be as fuel efficient as the MiniMo. So you do have to take that into consideration. All right, let's talk about price. The JetBoil MiniMo cooking system sells for, in US, $154.95. But again, the stove does come with the cover, the pot, and the cup. So it will be an investment if you plan on doing a lot of backpacking. Now, it would be lighter and cheaper if you did go with a setup such as the MSR Pocket Rocket or the BRS 3000T stove, your fuel, and then you use, for instance, a Snow Peak cup to boil your water or cook your food in. But again, these stoves are not going to be as fuel efficient as the MiniMo. They will be worse in the winds, and some of these stoves, like the BRS, do not have that piezo igniter. Now that I went over the specs and features, my likes and dislikes, weight and price, let's head into my final thoughts. So I've used the MiniMo for 5 years now, and I couldn't be any more happy. It is an all-in-one cooking system that's easy to use. I've never had one issue using this, including using that piezo igniter, so I've never had to use a lighter. I love that the MiniMo is so fuel efficient. It boils water super quick, and it can be used down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I think this is a great cooking system for the avid backpacker who's not looking to go super lightweight with their cooking system. So if you're looking for something that's relatively lightweight, boils water quick, and is easy to use, then I highly recommend the JetBoil MiniMo. All right, everyone, that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and continue to adventure with me in the beautiful Pacific Northwest and for more gear reviews. And then I'll catch you next time. Take care.